Hello, nerds, and welcome to another episode of the Brief Nerdity podcast. My name is Trent, and I will be your host for the evening. Joining me, as always, is Ryan. Hello.
Heyo.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic. And
You're always
joining us,
fantastic.
I am always fantastic, at least on here anyway. Um, Joining us for the first time is a new super special, super duper co-host, Ben Shepard.
Hello, guys.
How's it going?
It is going good.
Ross might be jealous of that super special tag.
Yeah, well,
He doesn't have to know. That can be between the three of us.
Shh.
that's right. No one
Now,
tells.
now you'll know if he actually watches the episodes.
It's true. Well, he never commented on the fact that we called TJ like the best co-host or whatever that was. So,
Well, now I'm offended.
I know. You just go and say that while Ben's on here? Man.
Right?
well, Ben hadn't been on yet when we said that.
Apparently you throw that around lightly. It's okay. Let's move on.
All right. So, welcome to another wonderful episode. As has been the case for the last couple of weeks, we're going to start off with kind of a random, kind of round robin discussion point. And this week, we're going to talk about the first R-rated movie that you can remember seeing. I've got a question since Ryan picked this out. I'm going to let you clarify. Do you mean in the theaters or just period?
I'd say just period.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I don't know about you, but for me, it was kind of a big deal when I saw my first radar movie. It was like, whoa, it's finally happening.
It became a big deal afterwards, but I'll explain that. Who wants to go first?
Since I picked the topic, I could go ahead and go first. So, just a little bit of a story. I grew up in a pretty religious household, and so rated R movies were very, very taboo. Even some PG movies were a little bit taboo, like such as Who Framed Roger Rabbit. You know, they said hell and stuff like that, and had sexy Jessica Rabbits. And so, my parents didn't let me watch that and stuff like that. So, I honestly don't remember how old I was. I think I must have been around 9 or 10, just kind of thinking of where I was in the situation. But I was spending the night at my cousin's house, and the uncle was, well, like, hey, let's go and pick out a movie to watch and stuff like that. And so, like, me and my cousin and his siblings all went to the bookshelf, or just the cabinet, whatever they had with all their VHS tapes, and we started looking at movies. And then, like, I saw, ooh, The Mask. I love The Mask. I want to watch The Mask. And so, kind of got all the siblings in on it. And we're just like, okay, we decided we want to watch The Mask. And then, like, the dad was like, nah, I don't want to watch that. Let's watch Misery. Either of you familiar with Misery?
I am not.
I have not heard of it.
Oh, okay.
I love The Mask, though.
I know, The Mask is
I
such
was
a good
going to
movie.
say, I was like, yeah, I remember The Mask.
The
And
Mask
you
is
come out
what-
with this Misery. I don't know.
The Mask is what really introduced me into my Jim Carrey fandom, which
Oh,
I was a big fan of his for a long time.
Misery has the woman from American Horror Story
Yep.
in it. What's her
Kathy
name?
Bates.
Yeah.
So looking back on it now as a super grown-up adult, like, it's a very, very tame rated R movie, but for the time, as a 9-year-old who had never seen a rated R movie before, it seemed pretty intense at the time. But basically, it's about, if I'm remembering correctly, I've only seen it once, and that's back then, but it's about a novelist who is driving on the road in the mountains and snow, and he crashes, and this woman kind of rescues him from his car. But after she realizes who he is, and she's like an uber fangirl of his, and she lives in a place like with no telephone, out in the middle of the woods on this mountain, and Kathy Bates plays this character, and she basically slowly kind of starts holding him hostage, kind of, because she's like in love with him and the characters and the books that he's written. So much so that she kind of like demands him to like start writing the final book right there, because he hadn't written it yet. I think he was out in the woods or in the mountains trying to cure some writer's block. But kind of long story short, she definitely ends up kidnapping him, and as he starts healing and getting better, she breaks his legs again, so he can't escape. And
So what I'm hearing is this is like the fan fiction of every Game of Thrones fan.
yeah, pretty much. So, but yeah, that was my first radar movie. Didn't really want to see it. I just wanted to watch The Mask and watch Kathy Bates hit a guy's legs with a sledgehammer instead. So,
So
Sounds pleasant.
was it rated R for the violence then, or
yeah, pretty much just the violence of her, harming him. But other than that, I can't remember any language. Definitely no sex.
Sounds intense.
Yeah, like I said, it probably seemed more intense back then, but it's probably pretty tame nowadays. But Yeah, and I still think
Oh.
it's a good movie when I think back on it. So
Yeah, I just went and looked it up. It's a Stephen King novel adaptation.
yeah,
That's pretty interesting.
yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
cool. First rated R movie that I saw, made in 1990 apparently, but I saw it much later than that.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. How about you, Ben?
The first notable one, I'm sure I actually probably watched a rated R movie in my younger years due to neighbors and such. But similar to Ryan's situation, we were not allowed to watch rated R movies. Did anyways, but you know. So the first notable one that I remember that I like really drove home to watch was 300. And I remember watching it in theaters, and I watched it about 4 times when it was in theaters. Loved it.
Nice. That's a good one to start off on.
It was
Wow.
awesome. Yeah.
So you waited a while.
Well, like I said, I know I watched radar movies before then, but
That's true.
they weren't like notable like rated R movies. Like most of them were if they were rated R, they were dumb comedies that my friends, you know, middle school kids were into, and it just never really was my thing. So I didn't care even when we did watch it. Um, but the rated R movie that I actually like that made it a difference, I guess, was 300.
Nice.
Very cool. So I guess that brings it back to me. So it's kind of a funny story because I remember because you guys were both kind of talking about how like it was kind of like a big deal in the moment because you knew you were watching a rated R movie. I didn't know the movie I was watching was rated R until my mom found out that we watched it.
That's the best.
So and that's actually the funniest part is that it was my brother and I and my dad. And so it was my dad's idea. So we're in the basement, and he's like, "Hey, I just bought this new sci-fi movie. It's kind of scary, but you guys should like it." I don't remember exactly how old I was because this movie came out before I was born, but it was the first Alien movie.
Oh, I'm so
Nice.
jealous. That would have been amazing first rated R movie.
And so I remember sitting in the basement when we were watching it in our big like family room, and I was like curled up, like with freaking out about like the face, hugger things and
hmm
the alien in the end, and it was intense. I didn't appreciate it at the time, and then my mother uh, had quite the reaction when she found out that my dad had let us watch that movie. So yeah, that was fun. I was probably around 10-ish, or somewhere around there. So
Nice.
that was pretty entertaining.
So I'm super jealous of that one. I kind of have a bonus round because it wasn't super long after my misery story that my dad just kind of sat me down when I was 11 or 12 and decided he was going to show me the first 2 Terminator movies. I was old enough and mature enough, and I needed to see those movies in his opinion. So
That's a good one. See, I was trying to remember because I know that I saw a lot of radar movies through my brother.
mhm.
Like Terminator was one, Predator, things like that we just saw uh, mostly to our parents unknown or not knowing.
See,
So
and
Usually that's how it
those
has to
like
be.
Alien, Predator, and Terminator were all that were like movies that were constantly playing at my grandmother's house from like as far back as I can remember. So like everyone, you know, big family get together. There was at least one room where one of those was usually playing that or like Jurassic Park. And there was maybe a couple other ones that made it into rotation that were always playing. But I genuinely don't think I knew that those were rated R movies at the time.
that's pretty awesome. Your grandparents are awesome.
That's only if NASCAR was not on. If
Ah,
NASCAR was on, it
Well,
was
that's
over.
NASCAR to
yeah,
Doy.
we visited my grandparents a lot when they were working like on a mission trip farm in Oklahoma, and so that was close to Kansas City. So we drove down and donated to this like library of this place that they also worked, were like all 6 Police Academy movies. And so like every time we visited, we would watch Police Academy 6. So it's a little bit less exciting than Alien and the rest, but it's good stuff. I thought anyway.
Yeah, good enough.
All right. So transitioning away from our uh, early access to rated R movies, Ryan and I actually had a topic that we wanted to bring up that we experienced at Star Wars Celebration that we kind of purposefully put off for a couple weeks but we want to talk about it now. And so, Ryan, why don't you kind of kick it off for us?
All right. So first off, don't want to offend anybody in this, but there's a lot different. Well, how could I say this? Being on the internet and voicing your opinion on some things is one way. Kind of doing it in person is another. And so we understand if some of you don't agree with our certain opinions on certain games and company practices. That's one thing to voice your concern on the internet. It's another thing to like boo someone in person about it. So just kind of keep that in mind as we go through this topic, if you do not mind. But we were at the Star Wars Battlefront panel, and I don't know about you guys or any of our audience members, but I'm super freaking excited about Battlefront. Right? Battlefront 2.
I'm pretty excited about it.
Like
I think it'll be good.
The campaign looks amazing. They're
Yeah.
going off the bat with space battles this time. It covers all eras of Star Wars. It's so far it's looking to be nothing but an amazing
Does
sequel.
it have clones though?
Oh, God. So, and I'm also I'm a fan of the prequel memes that's going on right now. But when you do that in real life, it's just no, don't do that. But so where Trent and I were sitting, we were basically surrounded by teenagers. Would you say they were teenagers? Were they maybe early 20s?
They were probably either teenagers or like the guys next to me and in front of us. I'm pretty sure they were early 20s.
Yeah.
Which isn't like incredibly younger than us, but a little
Young
bit
enough, I guess.
apparently.
But like they just wouldn't like stop. Like EA was there obviously, and people from DICE were there, and people from Criterion, and I forgot the company now, but the company who actually made the space or the campaign.
The campaign.
I forgot who it is off the top of my head right now, but
yeah, I'll let you keep going.
But all those people were there, like showing off the game and doing different aspects, and these kids just kept shouting out, "Show us the clones! We want clones! We don't care about this! Just show us the clones!" Like, as if they were going to stop their presentation and be like, oh, "Okay, here's clones." I mean, obviously, like they had an hour panel, so they had an hour planned presentation and stuff like that. So I thought it was disrespectful the whole time. But we were pretty close to the front, not right up front, but with a pretty good distance, so I'm sure people could hear them. But probably the worst thing that like got to me was that like they announced like, hey, if you pre-order the game, you get the Episode 8 Last Jedi costumes for the characters, and there's like audible booing in the audience. Like it was really, really cringy. And
yeah. And then right after that, people started shouting something about like free DLC.
Yeah, these are free DLC. Yeah, it's just.
So yeah, it was.
That seems excessive.
Yeah.
Like I mean, if you have a concern, they have an entire page about support and how to contact us, and it's like send them an email. If you're at the panel, it's not there to change their decisions. You're there to take in the experience that is the Star Wars convention.
Exactly. Yeah, so Trent and I just kind of talked a little bit afterwards and how cringy it was and how we kind of felt bad, so to speak. Correct me if I'm wrong, Trent, to kind of like be a gamer and be a part of that audience at that time, because we just felt so embarrassed.
I felt really embarrassed at that moment. Just because it was such a weird difference between every other panel we had been to at that point. Literally every other panel was crazy positive, very enthusiastic, people cheering for anything and everything, and then all of a sudden in this, like heckling and booing and like shouting over the commentator guy, the MC, and I was like, what is happening? Like I get that the most recent Battlefront game had a lot of holes in what people were expecting and what they wanted, what they were hoping for. But every slide was addressing one of those major concerns. And like they went like point after point after point about like, hey, these are the things we've added, these are the things we're excited about, these are all the new things that we want you to know that we're doing, to improve on the experience from last time. And so like I was feeling really positive about it. And obviously, I mean, we can't know. I mean, this is all hype and it's all PR fluff, so we have no idea until it comes out. But it was just really disappointing.
And as if yelling at the people marketing the game to us is gonna like change it,
Right? It's like You, sir, you just made a difference voicing your opinion at this convention. I'm going to take back everything I have just presented, and I'm changing it just for you.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
I think it's just a small representation of a large problem within the gaming community. Is that I don't want to call people entitled, because that's definitely not what it is. If people have problems, they need to voice their opinions, but do so in a constructive manner. And we've all known of people who have quit the gaming industry because they can't take the negativity. And even bringing it back to Star Wars, like George Lucas has cited that the one reason he sold off Star Wars and didn't really want to have anything to do with it anymore is because people would not shut up about the prequels to him, both online and in person. Um, and so he just said the negativity and the salt was not my words, not his, was too strong. And he didn't want to really be a part of Star Wars anymore, which is one reason I was so thankful that both he and like Hayden Christensen got standing ovations and large cheers from the audience. Because no matter how you feel about Hayden or George, they both did their best, and they both created something that most of us love dearly.
And it kept the franchise alive,
Yeah.
in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Hmm.
There's a ton of Star Wars content that came out of the prequel era.
We wouldn't have KOTOR without the prequels.
Right.
And to me, KOTOR is debatably one of the best Star Wars things ever.
Yeah, we wouldn't have KOTOR, we wouldn't have Clone Wars, we wouldn't have um, Darth Maul returning, and all those books about him, and like Bane, and all those, great stuff.
So, do you guys feel that just negativity is too prominent in gaming culture as a whole right now?
I think that the negativity stems from what's a way to phrase it? Stems from an issue that we see too often online in a general sense of we've come across bullies, cyberbullies. Like cyberbullying is a huge problem in our nation. And I think that the negative gaming culture, or at least what you experienced, is a small part of, I don't want to say cyberbullying, but the people that thrive off of their bullying are the type of people who would boo at a presentation that does nothing but benefit them.
Yeah.
Like some people just want to see the world burn because they enjoy that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's so much easier to be negative about a thing, especially I've noticed this a lot because I especially with certain movies and video games that I really like and I'm really invested in. Popular movies and popular video games follow an arc. There's there's the hype, and there's the excitement, and then there's the kind of like the previews and everything leading up to it. And then even if it's really successful, like Episode 7, for example, Star Wars, eventually at some point there's kind of a dipping point where the cool thing, quote unquote, online to do is to make fun of it and to jump on the bandwagons and start poking holes and everything you don't like about it. And it's like it becomes like a meme almost to like hate on the movie once it's been out long enough, or once the game's been out long enough. And I think that Battlefront is well beyond this hill because it had such a rough start, that people just take this negativity that they've kind of been stewing in from Battlefront for 2 years and just like, for lack of a better term, just like throwing it up on the Battlefront 2 people. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but
Yeah, it does. But no matter what you say, Left 4 Dead characters have much better character development than Mass Effect characters. So. Mass Effect character development sucks.
that was an inside joke from a trip we were on recently. Yeah, I don't know if it's just part of like the kind of social media culture and just like the ability for people to feel that their opinion is more valid now than it used to be. I mean, like, I know it's funny saying a guy who, like, as a guy who has a podcast, but
Avatar sequels are gonna suck. Avatar sucks.
Avatar, I have no idea. It could go either way. But, it's one of those things where it's like we feel empowered to share our opinions, which is great, and I like that. But I don't get what people think the negativity is going to accomplish. I mean, like, I get critiquing, I get, pointing out flaws and tweeting to, like, developers, or like answering their questions on social media. Be like, hey, I bought your game. This is what I would, like, leave them a bad review if you want to, but at least explain all the things you don't like. And it can't be like, oh, I'm 200 hours into this game now it's boring. It's like, well, if you played the game for 200 hours and you you probably had a good time, or you hate yourself. So I was like, I don't know.
I mean, I just treat people the way you'd want to be treated. I mean, besides, teenagers out there, young teenagers, most of us have held a job at some point, and we'd never want our boss or our peers or our customers, if the job applies, to come basically yell at us and tell us we're a piece of crap and we should burn and, throw ourselves off a cliff because, you delivered your McDonald's food in 4 minutes rather than 5.
Yeah, any
The
kind of
way
like super
around.
negative stuff, like death threats especially, is just incredibly uncalled for.
Yeah. So it's one of the, I've said this before, but it's one of the primary catalysts why I kind of wanted to leave the Gamer Rants brand behind, because I didn't want to be another voice of negativity amongst gaming, because that message is very loud right now and needs to be quieted more,
Yeah.
or at least have more positivity and constructive criticism surrounding it.
Yeah, I remember in one of my first jobs, I criticized an employee for their performance, but kind of in a really negative way. And I was like 14. I was kind of a stupid kid, didn't know what I was doing. My boss took me aside and said, like, if you're gonna try to criticize someone else's performance, ask yourself, are you doing better? And also, like, is it helpful, or is it just like your opinion? And I've kind of tried to, and obviously I fail at this a lot, but like, it's a really good kind of adage to take if you're wanting to criticize something. At least be helpful with it. Like, point out ways you think that they could do better in the future, and don't just like yell at them things you want in the next game, but like make a list and make sure that they're not already planning on giving it to you. In the case of this other, the people yelling about clones in the audience, like
Give us the clones.
they'd already shown the thing that said all eras, they'd shown Camino, and they'd shown battle droids. I was like, right, we're gonna have all of that, but no clones, just because F you guys. Like, just shut up already.
I don't understand. Like, why even make a big deal about the clones? Like, if it has all eras, like, let's just assume for a moment that they're gonna even follow a similar like style, or be at least somewhat along the story that they've already built, and spent a ton of time building. They're not going to suddenly change how Star Wars worked in the most recent game.
I wanted to just like turn around and yell at them. No, it's like, no, it's gonna be battle droids versus Ewoks, and that's it. Nothing else. Every level,
We're going
Ewoks
to pretend
versus
the
battle
clones
droids.
weren't there.
Yep, Commander.
We're gonna replace every clone trooper with a bottle of Jar Jar Binks.
Or and then the clones are actually a paid DLC you'll have to buy later.
Yes.
That's just, yeah.
That's fantastic. All right. Well, I think we all pretty much agree on this and feel roughly the same way. I'd love to hear the thoughts of any of our listeners. If you want to send us an email or leave us a comment on the show page at some point. But moving on and kind of talking a little bit about DLC, there is a discussion on Reddit that I was sent and kind of read over a little bit earlier. It said 11 years ago.
Would you say you read it?
uh,
Sorry, had to do it. Go ahead. Sorry, continue.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, so the title of the discussion was 11 years ago, Bethesda was roundly mocked for selling $2.50 horse armor DLC. Fast forward to today, cosmetic DLC is widely accepted as the only tolerable form of microtransactions. What's changed? So I'm going to throw that to you guys. Ryan, what do you think?
Well, for me, I think it's only tolerable when we benefit from it. Now, back then, I don't think really anybody benefited from horse armor, $250 horse armor. It was kind of just in a community of mods, at least for Bethesda game on PC, to go to console players and be like, here's some one texture basically for $2.50. People were outraged by it, and in my opinion, for good reason. But I think there's a few things that happened that makes it acceptable now. One is that there are several games out there where it's pay to win. You pay, you get an advantage over someone who hasn't paid, and that makes a game not fun and frustrating for a lot of people. And so cosmetic DLC is preferred over that. And then another reason, and probably my main reason, is when games like Titanfall 2 that have microtransactions, they say, hey, and going back to Mass Effect 3 even, all of our maps are going to be free. All the DLC content is going to be 100% free, because basically this game is funded for people who pay for microtransactions and cosmetics, which is great for me. I may throw them a couple bucks for cosmetics just to support it. I may not, depending on how I feel about the game. But that is a straight benefit for me from someone who comes from the Halo 2, Halo 3 days. We're like, hey, 2 extra maps, that'll be $10, please, kind of thing. So I think that's why now it's a little bit more widely accepted, just because the alternatives are something we would prefer not to have. That's my opinion, though.
What do you think, Ben?
I mean, I feel very, very similar to how Ryan feels on the matter. I think 11 years ago, first off, I didn't even know that 11 years ago Bethesda attempted to do that, or did it. It seems like to me that Bethesda was kind of ahead of its time then. Seen probably the benefit of doing something that was in the form of microtransaction, but probably just wasn't able to execute it like they could today. But I mean, it had to start somewhere, and it's definitely my preferred way of doing things, because I'll gladly buy a game, like pay for a game up front, get a bunch of content free, and have only microtransactions be cosmetic stuff. I'm happier to pay for a game up front than I am to continually paying, every 6 months or a year that they come out with some new stuff for it.
So something like Overwatch, you think is like the perfect model?
Yeah. I bought the game and I haven't spent a dime on it after that, because I'm able to get any of the cosmetic stuff through chance from just playing the game. Yeah. I don't, if I want to get a ton of the cosmetic stuff, then yeah, I can, up the RNG by throwing in $40 and then unlock 200 boxes and get showered skins and sprays and whatever. But that's my only issue with well, it's not even really an issue, but for instance, The Sims 4. I don't know if either of you play Sims.
Yes.
All of their DLCs you have to buy. Some of them I understand because they're big DLCs. They make a huge change to the game, more like an expansion than just a normal DLC. But some of it is just so minor that it's really, you want me to drop $25 even on a party pack so my guy can dress up in a party hat and put balloons in his house? Really?
Heck yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah.
So yeah, I think The Sims is an interesting example, because the point I was going to make, and one of the points I saw on Reddit that I thought was really good, was that one of the reasons I think Skyrim's decision, or Bethesda's decision for Skyrim, was so soundly mocked was because it didn't really add a lot of content. And if you really wanted skins for your horse or things of that nature, people were blowing away content like that for free with modding. Especially for single player games, you find modding is such a huge aspect of single player games, especially Bethesda games. You can go on Nexus Forge and things like that, and just there's thousands and thousands of really high detail high quality, just game changing mods. Whereas, $2.50 horse armor was seen as kind of pathetic in comparison. And then with a lot of cosmetic stuff, you see that mostly in multiplayer games like Overwatch, League of Legends, Heroes, things like that. But The Sims is actually an interesting one in the middle where it's all single player. There is a lot of modding and custom, stuff online available as well that the game fully supports. But yeah, they come out with these expansion packs, stuff packs. I forget what the third one's called because they have a distinction. They have a distinct system now where they have like those 3 different types of packs, and they're all different prices. Like I think this, like the regular stuff packs are all like $10 when they first come out. There's one in the middle, and then there's the expansion packs where they add a new city and they add like a big feature.
That's just called game packs.
Thank you. I was like opening up Origin and it was arguing with me. So yeah, I think that's some good insight. I personally, I've never understood the idea of complaining about DLC because, like, unless it's game breaking in the multiplayer, you don't have to buy it. There is literally nothing that says you need to buy this thing. And so it's like walking into a grocery store and being upset that in addition to bread and milk, they also sell candy bars by the cashier checkout stand. It's like,
that's why I'm obese.
Yeah, obviously.
Obviously.
So it's like, as long as it doesn't break the game, I don't understand why people get upset about. Like if you don't like it, don't buy it. That's as easy as that, to me. What do you think?
I concur.
Nope, I think you're spot on because
Yeah,
like I agree.
and I don't even mind paying for content DLC either, which a lot of people complain about, especially if it's like too soon to day one, because then they complain that they purposely held back content or whatever.
Well, that's one of the things actually I find interesting about a game like Star Wars: The Old Republic, massive multi-online game, but it is completely free to play. The exception being if you pay, the $14.99 a month or so, subscription, you get a bunch of convenient, unlocked convenience items and such. So, like the crafting system's more available to you, but you can play the entire game and story without having to pay a dime for the game. The only time where you actually are required to be a subscriber is to access their expansion stuff. So you can play the original game from level 1 to level 50 and all that story without paying a single dime. You can even go, you don't even have to buy the game. You can go download it and play all that. And then the only way, and then to access the between level 50 to level 70 content, all you have to do is be a subscriber, and even have an option to just let you buy 60 days for the $15 a month price. So you're not even enrolling in a subscription. You can buy 2 months, play through that content, and never have to subscribe again. But it's a format that seems to be working for them, which I find is very interesting. So instead of buying the expansions or the extra DLC content, all they ask is that you just subscribe or buy game time.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like their system too.
Reminds me, we need to get on and play that, Trent. We haven't in a while. We have new content to play.
I just finished it.
Yeah, we never finished the previous new content.
Well, we didn't even start it really. We finished the Shadow of Revan, I believe, but we didn't play anything after that.
Yeah, we had the whole I forget what it's like, Unconquered Empire or something.
Yeah, we gotta do that.
That whole thing. So yeah, that's exciting. Cool. So let's transition talking about AAA games and how much they charge for content. There was an article somewhat recently on PC Gamer. Says, I'm going to butcher this name possibly, Cliff Blazinski warns that AAA game development is, quote, nearly unsustainable. And the subtitle is, very few studios can afford it, and the results often aren't great. So why don't you kick us off with this, Ryan?
Okay, I could do that. So yeah, with graphics getting better and better and better, so to speak, and with that comes development costs. Every single texture has to be quote unquote drawn. As polygon counts get higher and higher and higher, and the graphics fidelity get better and better, that's someone designing that. And of course, engines like Unreal and Unity and all that make things easier on developers. It's still hard work, so to speak. And as graphics games and graphics get more and more demanding, there's only so much time a publisher is willing to commit to a certain game based on the $6 price point. And so, according to Cliff here, like we've kind of reached a breaking point for AAA games, to where developers are and publishers are going to be incentivized to start cutting corners because they're spending more money to make the game look pretty for the people marketing the game and for the trailers and the pictures on the back of the box when you go actually pick up a box at a game store, because yeah, that's what people do. It makes the game look pretty, so the game will sell more.
Or when they look at their Steam store and
Yeah.
see this.
But so yeah, I mean, it's his opinion. I'm not sure I specifically agree, but I think there's some truth in that statement. And I've been one who has thought that, for going back to Star Wars Battlefront, that first Star Wars Battlefront game, I think that had a 2-year development, maybe a little bit less than 2 years, because EA needed, quote unquote, needed to get it out alongside the release of Episode 7 to maximize on the hype train to get as many copies of that game sold. And so they focus on making that game look like the greatest Star Wars game ever made. But of course, it was lacking content in a lot of ways, and there's a lot of decisions that were made that were not good decisions, such as the one where like, oh, a random token's going to spawn, and that's how you get into your TIE fighter, sort of thing. Things that were just cut corners. No single player campaign, the limited multiplayer, depending on how you look at it. But
Yeah.
no one can say the game doesn't look amazing graphically, and so.
Did you mention who Cliff Bleszinski is?
I did not. For those who don't know, he is the creator of, he was the head of Epic Games, creators of the Unreal games and the Unreal Engine, and creators of the Gears of War franchise and things like that. I believe he retired from Epic around 2011, 2012-ish, if my memory serves me correct. But I believe he's working on a personal project for gaming, or just an indie project, if you will, at the moment. But yeah, so that's kind of his take on it. And like I said, I see some truth in his statements, so I don't inherently believe that AAA games are going to break or reach a point where, they're not going to be good anymore. Because people are going to pay for what they want. People look at, Star Wars Battlefront and get excited and buy it, and then, they gonna have to wait and see for Battlefront 2 to see if the graphics and the gameplay are worth their quality time or not.
Yeah.
So.
I'm kind of torn on this one. Because I don't know if I've ever heard this argument being made with AAA movies, for example, like big blockbuster franchises or not. It seems like they're cranking them out, beating the same franchises over and over again. Do you think this is comparable to movies, or do you think there's too much of a difference in how they're made and how the price point and cost of entry?
I think you could draw some parallels, even if it's not completely the same. I mean, look at the top movies every year as far as box office gross. Every single one of them is a franchise or a sequel, right?
Yep.
Not that I'm saying that's a bad thing. I don't like when people are like, oh, Hollywood's not unique nowadays. And I want to tell people, well, how many indie films did you go see? Every time that happens. But they're banking on safe bets, things that are quote unquote guaranteed to make them money.
Yep.
And buying the Star Wars license from EA, making the game look great, and then showing previews of it and being like, hey, episode 7's come out, here, play this for the month or two before it comes out, buy our game because Star Wars is awesome right now. There's parallels there, but even though I wouldn't say they're not quite the same.
Yeah.
In my opinion. What do you think, Ben?
In comparing, I mean, I don't know. Personally, I think as like the movie industry progresses, I kind of feel like the majority of the like special effects and such have probably gotten a bit, I don't, I want to say easier, but not really easier. Because I mean, if you look at any of the behind the scenes stuff where they're like doing these, you know, big action shots or whatever, like the majority of the scene is just a green screen. But then all the intricate parts that go with it, because they got, you know, like if it's a broken bridge, they have a built green bridge built, you know, that they can then use the, you know, computer and the programs to make to look like an actual bridge. But, you know, so it's like in the transition that we've gone from using hardly any like CG graphics, or I guess CG has graphic, but you know, CG work in it, I feel like the movie industry is a lot more heavily dependent on it to get the quality of movies. I mean, Avengers is an excellent one. Like, I mean, the majority of that movie, besides the you know, well, even a handful of the actors themselves were computer animated. I don't know. I feel like we as a society have come to expect the surrealism that graphics, that, you know, CG brings to the movie industry. And I think that's good, but it's also a little sad because I enjoy movies with CG. But if you go watch like a John Wayne Western, you know, there's no CG in that. That is all just straight up, you know, set, throwing a guy through a window, you know, like it's how Hollywood originally ran. And there's an art, there's a style that's kind of died out in that transition. I know that has nothing to do with the video game industry and the original question, but yeah,
It's okay. It was a good thought, though. Well said.
Yeah, I'm interested in, like, I've always been surprised that the price of video games hasn't gone up personally. Just given the amount of like voice actors that because I remember going to Toys R Us when I was a kid and asking my parents to buy me Dragon Warrior 3 for the NES for my birthday. And I remember seeing it was $80 on the shelf. I was like, man, that's really expensive. It was a kid, like I realized that was a lot of money. And most AAA games nowadays are $60 before like special editions or whatever that they come with. That's, I mean,
By the way, an $80 game in 1989, which is a random year I picked, it was $160 in 2017 money.
Yeah. Also, interestingly enough, this is a complete side note. The original Star Wars VHSs that I stole from my dad when he tried to throw them away were originally also $80 a piece. In the
wow,
80s,
I never knew that.
Yeah, that's how much he paid for them. It's intense. Anyway, I gotta wonder, like, it says in this article that the gamers aren't going to pay more than $60 for a game, but I mean, if you notice that the quality of your AAA games keep getting cut down, I mean, I would pay more for a AAA game because I only buy probably 2 to 3 of them a year at max. You know, and then I can play 300 hours of Civ 6 or, you know, RimWorld or Prison Architect or whatever in the intervening time. And I don't know. Would you guys be willing to pay more than $60 for a AAA game?
Plot twist: we kind of already do with DLC and microtransactions.
That's where I was gonna go. I was gonna say, like,
yeah.
the $60 is statistically probably the most money they can get out of selling a game, as well as hitting the most general populace they could possibly get. And then comes the, like Ryan was saying, the DLCs and the microtransactions, because a lot of those games, they, you know, for one, you don't have to buy a game like a physical copy as much as you would before. So product cost probably is cut down a bit. It's not having to do that. I mean, advertising cost has probably gone up dramatically, but yeah, you get those DLCs and microtransactions, and you're dropping $160 on a game.
Yeah, and think special editions as well. I mean,
Yeah.
just Mass Effect Andromeda. I paid $100 for that game. EA didn't have to print a disc. They didn't have to ship it anywhere. They didn't have to share the profits with a retailer or a third-party client like Steam. Besides the server costs that they induce with me playing that game, they got 100% of that money.
True, but look at the credits and see the dozens and dozens of digital artists that they employ for a game like Mass Effect, and
It's true.
the dozens of voice actors that they use, because they don't follow the path of Bethesda and have the same 3 people voice their entire game. Those things add up after a while.
They just all have the same face. That's the only difference.
That's right. All the Asari have the same face. But then that's we talking about corners cut, and visually, Andromeda got cut in that corner. I mean, like, the content was there, and a lot of the voice acting and all that stuff was there, but they suffered visually a great deal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're able to compare games like Dragon Age Inquisition, Dragon Age, Dragon Age Inquisition, and Mass Effect Andromeda, and I don't know that I'd be able to tell you which game came out first if I had them side by side. Whereas one of them was years ahead of the other one.
Yeah.
And to me, that's kind of sad. Like, you should be able to take your engine and improve on it if you've got years of development time. But you can tell that was obviously a corner that was cut.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
They spent all the money on PB's eye makeup.
Addison's tired face.
Her tired face.
Oh, man.
Yeah, good discussion, but it could be any one of these things. But we'll never know because we don't work in the video game industry. We're just random people on the internet shouting at you, saying, "We want clones."
We want clones. Yeah, I don't think AAA games are going anywhere anytime soon. I think they're going to suffer a little bit if they continue to cut costs. I think they need to be a bit more realistic in their game plan. I don't know. Let's move on to another topic that I'm really excited for. This last week, Star Wars .com released a press release saying that Star Wars Episode 9 and Indiana Jones 5, which was not a movie I knew that I wanted, have release dates. Star Wars Episode 9 is currently set for May 24th, 2019, and Indiana Jones is set for July 10th of 2020.
May the 24th be with you.
That's right. So now, this is a caveat that these are the first announced dates. All 3 Star Wars movies to date have been pushed back from a May release to a December release. So it's possible this will still happen for Episode 9. But how would you guys feel about a May 2019 release for Star Wars Episode 9?
You go ahead first, Ben.
I'd be happy for a release. I mean, personally, it doesn't make a huge difference for me. I mean, especially when it comes to movies, I've never been one to be like super upset about a pushback date. I mean, I've already been waiting up to this point. Like, it doesn't kill me to wait, 6 more months or so for it to finally come out. Like, I feel the same way with games. I'd rather than push it back and do it right than rush it and get it out when it's not actually ready.
Yeah. I've just now, for the past 2 years, gotten really spoiled on the idea that I'm going to have a Christmas present in the form of Star Wars every December. And I kind of want that to keep going.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. May and summers just tend to be crowded with movies. Where you have a single tentpole summer movie that usually has 1, maybe 2 weeks to itself before the next one takes its place and gets number 1 at the box office, and then a week later the next one takes its place and gets number 1 at the box office. movies don't seem to have a lot of legs in the summertime, and I kind of like the fact that Star Wars pretty much just dominates December.
And
Um,
January and
and January,
February.
yeah, um, and not only that, it's Star Wars is inherently a family film, and typically families get together for the holidays, and what's better for people on, say, Christmas Day, after they're done opening presents and having breakfast or lunch or whatever, and like, oh, hey, let's all go see the new Star Wars flick, as a family, or hey, everybody's off work unless you work retail. I'm so sorry. Um, everyone's off work for the couple weeks ish around Christmas, so it's a good time again to get together and go see Star Wars. Um, and yeah, like you said, Trent, I've really come to enjoy the idea of there being a new Star Wars movie for me every Christmas, so to speak. So the fact that it's going to come out in May, so supposedly, and it's going to be big, it's going to explode, it's going to do really, really well, and then 2 weeks later, something else is going to come out, and everyone's going to kind of quote unquote forget about Star Wars until it comes out on video, later.
Yep. And I think you can see that a lot with movies like Logan. We had a really big splash, and Logan came out what, like March,
Yep,
February,
it was one of the March
something like that.
March
It had
Madness.
it
As
had
I
some
call it.
pretty good staying power, but it also kind of seems like a flash in the pan now that I look back on the year. It was really big for a couple weeks and then nothing.
Yep, because there was Beauty and the Beast and Power Rangers and Ghost in the Shell, um,
And the Boss Baby.
and Boss Baby.
Which I love Alec Baldwin, but I have not seen Boss Baby.
I have not either.
Me neither.
It does not fit my criteria of a must see theater movie for me.
Right.
That'll be but that'll probably be see it while the nieces and the nephews watch it during family dinner at some point. Um, so that leads me kind of that. I was kind of curious to discuss your guys' thoughts on the Indiana Jones movie. I didn't know they were making another one, so I guess I'm kind of out of the loop.
Yeah, I don't know how you missed that.
I I didn't I haven't seen Crystal Skull yet.
Wait, you haven't seen Crystal Skull?
No,
Oh man.
I don't like Shia LaBeouf. I don't like the idea of seeing you know wheelchair bound uh, Indiana Jones. Like it's and that's exaggerating, obviously, but I don't know that I want to see another Harrison Ford Indiana Jones movie.
I do not. Like, I think the Crystal Skull was a mistake. I think it should have ended when it ended. There was no reason to drudge it back up.
Yeah.
I agree and disagree.
Well,
Crystal
let's
Skull.
disagree because we've been agreeing all night on things.
I know we need some drama.
All right. Well, Crystal Skull was a mistake. Let me say that. Shia
Ah,
LaBeouf is terrible in it,
damn.
and it's just a terrible, terrible movie to begin with. And they never should have introduced spoiler aliens into the Indiana Jones mythos. Um, but in Disney, I trust right now. Disney, it seems, for the past few years, has been incapable of making a bad movie. And so, if anyone is going to send Indiana Jones off on a high note, it's going to be Disney. Bringing Harrison Ford back for truly one more and only one. If they start doing more, I'm going to start wondering. Okay, stop
Well,
now.
have they
But
actually said this is his last one?
no, but there's only so far we could take it, and in my mind. But then again, I thought Toy Story 3 was kind of the end of that. But
But at least
nah,
that was animated. Like I
yeah.
mean, you can do voice acting until you die. Like, I mean, at a certain age, you got to stop jumping off of jeeps. Like,
And it all just depends on what they do with it, so to speak. Harrison Ford did great as Han Solo in Episode 7, and the role he fit in that movie fit, you know, Harrison Ford perfectly, and where we would expect Harrison or Han Solo to be 30 years later as well. Um, Crystal Skull did not do that. It basically made him like the Indiana Jones of the older movies and just threw in "you're an old man" joke every now and then.
right.
So again, we know nothing about the movie, but again, like I said, Disney has been on point for the past few years in all their movies, and so until it comes out and it sucks as bad as Crystal Skull, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, and I'm looking forward to it and excited for it.
Have they announced any other casting for that movie that you know of?
Not that I know of, no.
There's one thing that they could say that would pull me in right now, and that would be that they were casting someone like Chris Pratt to take over as Indiana Jones, which was a rumor for a long time. That would sell it for me right there.
Yeah, that's what they did with Shia LaBeouf until Shia LaBeouf happened. So
Well,
I mean,
yeah, but Shia LaBeouf was already on the way down, in my opinion. Like,
even so, I feel like Indiana Jones is a story that doesn't need to continue.
right.
It even with, I think Chris Pratt would do an amazing job. I love him as an actor. I just don't think that Indiana Jones should be a step in that direction.
Right. Like, why doesn't Disney just buy the rights to the Uncharted franchise and make Uncharted movies instead?
That would be amazing.
Because that's a
I
movie
think they
I want
already
to
own
see.
Indiana Jones.
Huh?
Because they already own Indiana Jones. They bought Lucasfilm for Star Wars, and Indiana Jones is just a nice little cherry on top.
That's true. Does someone already own, like, is Uncharted the movie is a thing that's already happening, right?
Yeah, Sony is doing that, apparently.
Eesh.
They were doing one with Marky Mark as Nathan Drake. It was totally changing the storyline. It was going to be like about a family of treasure hunters or something, but then that one got canned. And since the success of Uncharted 4, they're kind of starting the gears up again, but taking it in a different direction. So yeah,
just
because
follow the plot of the game. It's good. Just do it. Like, why? I
That's
don't
been one of the biggest
understand.
issues with adaptation films from the beginning. Was they instead of trying to just follow and break it up into multiple movies, they try and cram a massive story into one movie, and it shouldn't be done. Because then you cut out some of the best stuff, and the story then bounces around.
See, I don't
World of
even.
Warcraft did the opposite, and I didn't like that one either.
Well, see, I don't even mind where they like keep the general story the same and just adapt it for time. But like when you buy a franchise and then connect it in no way to the original like story, like that makes me upset. It's like it's just the same in name only and nothing else. Like you're buying it so that you hope the fans show up and see something that's not in any way Uncharted related.
But anywho, I'm going on
Right.
record on episode 21 of Brief Nerdy that I'm excited for Indiana Jones, and it's going to be a good movie. So we could go back and play this when it comes out, and we're all excited about how
I
awesome
am
it was.
time stamping this and writing it in my journal.
And if it sucks, I'm so sorry. I was very excited for Crystal Skull as well, but
It's gonna. I don't know. I don't want to be a voice of negativity, but let's just say I'm not getting my hopes up.
I'm just more of I don't want the Indiana Jones legacy to end on Crystal Skull. I mean, I'm definitely with you there, Ben, where like Indiana Jones
That's
needs to
true.
be done, but I don't want it
Well,
to
it
be
ended before Crystal Skull. I don't associate that when I talk about Indiana Jones films.
Well, that's the thing. Like I picture in my head canon, the Last Crusade, which is well named
Yes,
and well done, was the end of Indiana Jones.
correct.
Just like Supernatural ended at the end of season 5. All right. Let's see. What do we got on the docket? Oh, I'm excited about this one. There has been announced a live action DC television show, which is about Teen Titans. I don't know if any of you have watched the Teen Titan cartoons,
Yep.
but I am very excited about it. It's going to be.
I
produced
have
by-
not watched the Teen Titans films, television show, but so you'd have to fill me on why, or sell it to me. Why should I watch it?
So, so Warner Brothers, obviously, because they own DC, is producing. It's being run by the same showrunner, Greg Berlanti, who does all of the CW DC shows, so Arrow, Supergirl, Flash, and Legends of Tomorrow.
Mhm.
He's also in charge of Riverdale at the moment, and Blind Spot, I think, are the other two things people might know him from. So he's got a lot of really good shows under his belt. He knows how to run a superhero show to at least a modicum degree of success, depending on which season of which DC show you're talking about. The Teen Titans and Young Justice characters are arguably some of the more successful DC properties here in the last few years. The Young Justice cartoons, or animated series, if you don't like the word cartoon, were very successful in terms of fan appreciation. I don't know how well they did like ratings wise, but people really enjoy them. And some of the characters, I've actually only seen a couple episodes so far. It's on my ever growing list of things to do. But my friend Ben, um, has just really been trying to push them on me. A different Ben than we have on here tonight. But it's got
Too
like
many bands.
it's got like Nightwing, Young Robin, which I think is Damian Wayne. Um,
Depends on which Teen Titans you're watching, but yeah.
right. Um, and the other characters' names are escaping me because you guys know how well I am at remembering things. Ah, there we go. Starfire, Raven. So it's the reason I like it is it's a fresh batch of heroes that people haven't seen recycled 100 times in the past 10 years. It
I like
yeah,
to think of them like
it's a team show,
the CW DC shows are a bunch of adults acting like teenagers, and the
right?
Teen Titans animated shows are a bunch of teenagers acting like adults.
Yeah, that pretty much covers it.
All right.
Actually sells it pretty well too. The interesting thing, I'm trying to remember where I saw that it's actually not going to be on TV, but it's going to be on a new like DC streaming service of some kind. So we'll see how that works out. But I'm excited about all the pieces that are in place so far. We'll see how that goes. What do you guys think about shows that are on? I mean, obviously Netflix is paving the way as the like pinnacle example of this, but like TV shows that are available for streaming from services that are not on television.
I
Does that-
personally love it. I mean, if the content is good, the people will come no matter where it is. So, um, I'm not as big on the dropping the whole season at once kind of thing. I believe I've talked about it before, but it's just my own personal preference that when they drop a whole season, I feel obligated to like binge watch it or watch it all as quickly as possible, so I could be safe from spoilers, and
Right.
also so I could talk about it with other people. Because when it does that, you can't really like talk about it. Someone like, well, what episode are you on? Like, has this happened yet? No, it hasn't happened yet. Why'd you say that? Kind of thing. Versus a weekly
Right.
show where you're all pretty much, unless you're obviously behind, you're all kind of at the same point, and you could discuss the cliffhanger and what's going to happen next week and who is Savitar and stuff like that. But you can't really have those discussions on a dropped a whole season. So that's a whole other discussion. But um, I would say for this one, I'm very meh on it, I guess, because I mean,
How dare
I
you?
I love the Teen Titans cartoon and the Young Justice cartoon, and the CW shows have been hit and miss depending on the season, kind of like what you said. So I don't think that this show will surpass. I would say they're the source content because there's comics and stuff, but I don't think they'll surpass the cartoons, in my opinion. So
Huh.
I hope that they are good and that I enjoy them. And I think that's the best I could hope for right now, and hopefully I'll be pleasantly surprised otherwise.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've been a huge Nightwing fan since I was a kid. So I'm hoping that they do him well, and um, yeah, that's kind of exciting. We could talk about the Nightwing movie that's been announced, which is exciting. I don't know if you guys have heard
Yeah.
about that,
Yeah.
but uh, yeah. So we're about in an hour. I think we can probably start just kind of talking some general, um, kind of what we're watching, playing, what we're excited about.
Well, just real quick, speaking of freaking uh, internet channel shows, that House of Cards season 5 trailer dropped today.
I know we cannot skip over that. That needs to be discussed.
Crap!
Now,
I was hoping to avoid the fact that I haven't seen season 4 yet.
oh, you haven't? Oh, dang.
Trent,
I know.
Trent.
I know. I'm sorry.
Season 3 was a low point in the series for me, but season 4 makes up for it.
I don't even
Totally.
remember what happened in season 3. I just remember what happened in season 4.
Well, season 3 was pretty disappointing all around, in my opinion. But
I actually really enjoyed season 3. It wasn't as
Oh,
good
yeah?
as the other ones, but and I don't know why I didn't jump on season 4. Um, And it doesn't make any sense because I've seen shows that are not nearly as good in the meantime. But
I'm actually genuinely surprised because House of Cards seems like a show right up your alley.
it really is. I don't know if this is a complete side note. I don't know if you guys saw the White House Correspondents' Dinner the other night. But one of the jokes the guy made was like, "Man, real life politics has gotten me so stressed that I go home and I watch House of Cards to relax."
That's
That's
amazing.
awesome.
It's like, oh, a congressman just puts a journalist in front of a subway train? How quaint!
Oh my gosh.
It's pretty much so. But so we won't obviously Ben and I won't spoil anything of season 4 or in the season 5 trailer. But
I'm
Just
No.
assuming it's very exciting. I got the my phone pushed a notification to me earlier, so I definitely know that it's there.
so like
Well,
I'll
then
just
I would suggest probably actually holding off watching the season 5 trailer till you at least finish season 4.
Oh, sure, for sure.
I just have to say one point in the trailer though, it just gave me goosebumps and it was just so perfect. And I guess it's the tagline for season 5, but Frank in it, he just at the very end he goes, "One nation under wood." I was just like, oh, it's about to go down.
Yep.
See, and I saw that tagline, and I'm just like, I don't know if it's just like the inner 5-year-old in me, but I'm like, Underwood. I just can't.
Wow.
I don't know. Like, I'm sorry.
Underwood.
No reason to apologize. It's fine.
For
When
me, it
Kevin,
was
when
when he
Kevin
starts
Spacey says it, you can't laugh though.
when he starts naming the years 2016, 2020, 2024. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like dying in my seat watching it.
I still like one of the most powerful moments in television that I can remember is that like it's just like starts with a wide shot. I think this is the end of season 2 or season 3 when he becomes president. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it.
Wow. Way to warn everybody before saying it.
It's like 3 years old. I'm sorry.
That's fine. It's fine.
I would not
Statute of
even be.
limitations is passed.
I would not even be upset if someone spoiled 20 or season 4 for me. Although please don't on purpose. But like if it happened accidentally, then I would, anyway. But like it starts with that wide shot of him standing in front of the Oval Office or the desk in the Oval Office, and just kind of like slowly tightens and zooms in, and then he just like pounds the table with his ring, and then it goes black. And I was like, oh, I love that shot so much.
He just kind of like feels the desk and like feels the power it has and everything.
And then he hits it with a school ring.
I love that. Yeah, the ring.
Love it.
His tap.
That's such a good show.
Man, now I'm gonna go. Like, I'm just gonna have to start binging it tonight, and I'm just not gonna go sleep. Now I'm all excited about it.
But you haven't even seen the trailer yet. You're just feeding off of our hype for it.
I know. I'm just remembering scenes from it and just getting excited.
Yep.
So good. I binge watched that show. Did not stop watching that.
That will be a weekend for me. I will take it and watch all of it. So,
Is there a release date for season 5?
Yep, May 30th, I believe.
Okay.
The end of the month.
I think I can finish Gilmore Girls and White Collar before then. So
that's a Tuesday. I don't want to come out on a Tuesday. I can't binge it then.
On a Tuesday. Yeah. So aside from that, what else are you guys watching / playing / excited about?
Go ahead and kick us off then.
Yeah.
So at least playing, I haven't been playing a whole lot. Like I said, I was playing Star Wars: The Old Republic. Playing through the new content that they've released there. Gotta say, they do not disappoint. It is a great game. I've always played The Old Republic more as a single-player game than I have done any of the actual group content, mainly because they make it so accessible for solo players to be able to access everything.
Nice.
I still have my security code app for it, and so during the year hiatus I took, I was getting free monthly coins for the microtransactions in that game just for having the security key. So I log in and I got 12,000 cartel coins to spend however I please.
That's awesome.
I was just like, okay, yeah, let's do this.
Did you buy 40 mounts?
I did not actually. I have yet to spend them. My character currently has 2 million credits in the game, so most of the stuff that I need to buy, I can use in-game currency for. So I'm holding off using cartel coins till like I build up a base or something and want to get a bunch of like furniture and such.
That's right. They have player housing in that game now.
They do, yes, and it is a lot of fun. I've spent many, many hours building multiple bases. It is a lot of fun. Star Wars: The Old Republic is one of the few games that I continue to come back to.
Nice.
Other than that, in the way of games, I've been pretty limited with my whole computer issue stuff. I would like to play Overwatch more. That is what I would like to play more, as well as multiplayer Mass Effect. But otherwise, that's pretty much it for my list.
Cool.
Yep, that's kind of, I won't say similar to my list, but Mass Effect multiplayer is also, I've been playing a lot of that. Miss you, Ben. Wish you were back on.
I know.
Other than that, I haven't had a whole lot of time for gaming in between some stuff going on, but I have gotten an okay chunk of ukulele finished.
What is ukulele?
Ukulele.
Besides the instrument.
Besides what?
The instrument.
Oh yeah. Well, basically, the team who created the Banjo-Kazooie games on N64, they're no longer with Rareware, but they did a Kickstarter basically for a Banjo-Kazooie game in everything but name. And the Kickstarter was very, very successful. I donated to the Kickstarter, and so Ukulele just basically an N64 Banjo-Kazooie game with different characters and modern graphics, so to speak. So the game got mixed reviews, but I'm gonna be honest. Like so far, I'm loving it. I am only probably about halfway through the second of the 5 worlds, so just maybe a fourth of the way through the game, if that. But it's definitely scratching that N64 platformer collectathon itch that I've had for many years, and I'm still just loving it right now. Part of me kind of wishes, if only like I was controlling Banjo and Kazooie instead, just I don't know if you guys have seen any of the gameplay or anything like that. It is almost identical to Banjo Kazooie in the way the hub world works, the way the game feels, the way the characters talk, the way the menus work, the collectibles, basically pages are the new jiggies. You collect little feathers instead of music notes. It's pretty much identical to Banjo Kazooie. But so far I'm loving it. We'll see if I still feel that way toward the end of the game, because like I said, the game's gotten very mixed reviews, like 6 to 8 out of 10s mostly. But so far I'm really enjoying it. So
nice. Let's see. After last week, when I spent almost like 30 hours in one weekend to finish up I think I landed at 94% complete for Mass Effect Andromeda.
Wow.
I took a little bit of a break because I really wanted to get it finished before the podcast. I've really not played a lot of video games since then. The group of people that I play with online are doing a Minecraft server at the moment. We're doing the Feed the Beast Mage Quest mod pack. So that's been kind of fun. I've been playing that while I watch TV shows to catch up on my stuff. So I kind of knock off 2 birds with 1 stone there. So that's been fun. Minecraft is something that I feel like I can return to forever, as long as I get a break in between. So it's like playing with Legos; it just never gets old.
yeah, I still don't own that game on PC.
How many copies do you own?
3. I have it on Xbox 360, Xbox One, and mobile.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, man.
Well, I bought the Xbox 360 one when I was still a console gamer before I hopped on PC. And then when the Xbox One came out, you could like upgrade for $5 to get the Xbox One version as well.
There you go.
And then I bought the mobile one to play with my nephews when all they had was the mobile version as well. So
nice. So yeah, that's kind of my extent in gaming at the moment. I'm probably, I don't know, I'm trying to decide what next big game I want to tackle. I got the Warhammer Total War from a Humble Bundle that I'm probably going to try out here soon. It's either that or The Witcher 3, I think is what I'm aiming at next. But yeah,
I got too many on my list right now.
I'm just focusing on getting computer parts.
yeah.
Like I want to play Watch Dogs 2, more Division, Horizon on PS4.
The Division is one I want to get back into really badly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of meh on it. Like when you guys get back into it, I'll probably join you just because it's fun to play that game with people I know.
Yeah,
But
it sucks playing solo on the Division.
Yeah, I could
I
take
really
it.
want to try that
down, to be
survival
honest.
mode though.
I do too. I just in the game in general, I could take it or leave it until friends of mine, have it
Yeah.
again. I did buy Planet Coaster here recently, which is basically the City Skylines version of Roller Coaster Tycoon. Kind of like the better spiritual successor to Roller Coaster Tycoon. It's been pretty fun. It's entertaining. I don't know. There's you
A
can
glowing
either
review.
well, I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to lock it down because you can either go into career. So there's three options for play. You can go into career mode where they have you take over a failing theme park, or you can go into challenge mode. Like, that stuff so far has been hard because I haven't quite figured out how to like fix the problems that they have. Then they have challenge mode, which is that like on steroids. And then they have sandbox mode where you can make your own park, but you have unlimited money. And I was kind of hoping for a like middle ground, like a career mode where you start a park from scratch, which
Makes sense.
I can't really find one of. And so I'm kind of like, I don't want to like work on your guys' failing stuff. I want to like build my own theme park and come up with fun names and silly rides and all this stuff. But so the time that I've spent in it has been fun. I just haven't really been drawn back to it yet. But
Oh, that's fair. I kind of felt the same way with Cities, not quite to the same extent, but I played the hell out of it for a week or two, and then when I kind of like put it on pause and then played something else, like I found it really hard to go back and restart my city where I had left off.
Yeah,
even though
definitely.
I thoroughly enjoyed the game during my time with it.
For sure. So jumping over to TV, Ryan has gotten me started on Breaking Bad.
Woo! Season 1, episode 1.
That's right. I've seen the pilot and I didn't hate it, so that's a start.
Have you seen that show, Ben?
Nope.
Dang. Well, go talk to TK again. He's my most recent advocate since he just finished the series a month or two ago.
Yeah, Ryan's been bugging me about it pretty much since it came out, which is I don't know how long it's been now, but so yeah, we're getting started on that one. Then kind of all my reality shows are taking all my attention at the moment. I'm watching The Challenge.
Just a quick insert, if you don't mind. TJ has actually been watching it and giving me updates over messaging, and he's almost done with season 3 right now, and he is also loving it so far. But he could speak to that next time he's on the podcast.
Nice. Yeah, but I'm watching The Amazing Race, which is really fun this season. RuPaul's Drag Race, Survivor, and The Challenge on MTV. A couple of those are nearing the end, which will give me some more free time here soon. Finished season 2 of The Expanse. I know Ryan doesn't watch that. Ben, do you watch The Expanse?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Have you finished it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
So good.
Tell Ryan how much he needs to watch the show.
If you can get Trent to watch Breaking Bad, you need to watch The Expanse. Like, I get, well, no, I can't really give it the same rating that I would give House of Cards, because House of Cards is like in a league of its own. The Expanse is just a really good, well, it depends. If you really like sci-fi, if you're not big into sci-fi, it's not really for you. If you like sci-fi, it brings the complexity of politics, military, and science kind of all together into a futuristic universe.
And zero gravity sex scenes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Just the one.
Sorry, how could I glaze over that? There are zero gravity sex scenes.
I don't even know how that would work. Like the mechanics involved.
Very well.
We've gone beyond the realm of possibility.
What?
I guess you'd have to watch to find out.
I guess so. I guess so.
It's definitely doable. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, so those are kind of what I'm watching at the moment. What are you guys watching / excited about?
Right now, the prequel spinoff to Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, is on, and it is amazing. Every single episode of it is amazing. I love it. It is just as good, if not 99% as good as Breaking Bad is. And so, like, I eat up every second that it's on screen and digest it because every moment is amazing of it. So, just they're on their third season now, I believe, but only 3 episodes in. But it is very, very good. I would not recommend watching it without watching Breaking Bad first. Although, again, talking with TJ actually watched Better Call Saul first and liked it so much, and that's what got him to watch Breaking Bad. So,
So moral of the story, do whatever it takes to watch Breaking Bad.
yep, that's the moral of this podcast. Actually, is the whole reason I started this podcast is to get more people watching Breaking Bad. So hopefully it's working. I got Trent in. So
There you go.
Other than that, I'm fully caught up on the CW verse. Flash is really losing it for me. Arrow is doing much, much better, in my opinion. I'm glad Legends kind of ended early because it's very, very hit and miss, and I'm just glad to have one less of them to watch for the rest of the season. And Supergirl is just painfully boring right now. So, yeah. But that's about it for watching stuff for me. Again, TJ, I mentioned again, he's not on here this week, but he recommended Split a long time ago, and when it was just first in theaters, and I finally got around to seeing it, and it is fantastic. For those of you
who see it.
That's the M. Night Shyamalan one, right?
Yep. For those of you who have been avoiding M. Night Shyamalan for good reason, should still take some time to see this movie. It is great, especially if you're a fan of his earlier works, such as
Unbreakable,
Sixth Sense, and Unbreakable, and
Unbreakable.
Well, I've been told that it is actually in the same universe. Sorry.
That is a spoiler.
I did not realize. I was just told this by coworkers because I have not seen it. That was one of the reasons for me to.
That's the equivalent of telling them the twist ending of The Sixth Sense.
Oh.
Damn.
Well, I didn't really care about that one.
And that's okay. Yeah.
It's okay. I just every time I hear Unbreakable, like the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
I know, me too. It's so sad. It makes me mad.
What? That's a great theme song.
It is a great theme song, but then it's stuck in my head and I get mad because I hate the show, and then that song's stuck in my head.
Unbreakable.
All right.
I'll stop. It's all stuck in your head now, though.
It is. I hate you forever.
So I guess my list is pretty short. Right now, I'm watching a bunch of just random stuff like Young and Hungry and The Last Man on Earth, just kind of light comedies here and there. But some of the ones I'm diving into, well, Bob's Burgers. Love that. Haven't watched the newest episode of that. I've been going through the show, The Originals. It kind of reminds me of like the Vampire Diaries knockoff a little bit.
But it's actually a full-on Vampire Diaries spin-off show. Like they're the same universe.
There we go. That would make a lot of sense then. I haven't really watched the Vampire Diaries except for like when I was, with the girl and she was watching it, and so we'd watch it together. But
I love those shows so much.
So I'm watching The Originals. I'm still in the first season, but giving that a shot.
It's really good. It's actually, I think it's better than the Vampire Diaries ever was.
I'm watching Samurai Jack, the most recent season, and loving it. I was a huge fan of it in the past, and this new season that they've released is just beyond phenomenal. Artistic show. So there's not a whole lot of talking as much as seeing. Like it's a visualized show.
Slicing everything.
Huh.
Well, not slicing. Everything is hand drawn. So the backgrounds, the characters, it's a visual story that's being told more than an audible one. I love it. I love the style of it. I love the story. It's great. I'm also watching Archer and its newest stuff. Love
What do you
Archer.
think of the new season of Archer?
I was hesitant. I was hesitant on it. Like, even though I get where it's coming from in the scenario, I was hesitant, but I love the humor in Archer, and so I will continue to watch it just based on its humor alone.
Ditto. But I do miss just the standard
I do too.
spy stuff.
But I understand why they're doing it is because, they've already hashed that so much that, it is, I guess, kind of nice to have something a little different. But I don't know.
I agree. I just feel that sometimes, even though they're quote unquote the same characters, they're not the same characters. We become invested in the actual Lana and stuff like that, and to kind of throw us some just Lana but alternate universe, 1940s
more like cameo
Lana.
appearances.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is another show I need to add to my list.
Well, basically, for the season of Archer, it's all taking place in Archer's mind, and they're back in 1940s, and basically the characters from the show are just their 1940s counterparts. And so
that sounds fun.
Yeah, it is. It is fun, and it's funny. But like I said, are we on like season 7, 8 now? I don't even know off the top of my head.
Season 8.
Yeah, we've kind of grown to love these characters, and even though it's just a silly, comedy, you're still kind of, they grow on you, and the stories that happen, such as Archer's and Lana's relationship and stuff like that, and to kind of have it all be put on hold for a season is just, I don't know. I still love it. I'm sure I'll still love the whole season. I just kind of wish they would.
I do miss the old style of Archer. And then, last but not least on my list, I'm a big anime watcher, and one of the best series I've watched for comedy is called Konosuba, God's Blessing on This Wonderful World. And I just want to read you guys the premise to this show and as to why I like it so much. It goes, after dying a laughable and pathetic death on his way back from buying a video game, high school student and recluse Kazuma finds himself sitting before a beautiful but obnoxious goddess named Aqua. She provides the neat, for those who don't know, means basically like nerd who's a shut-in nerd, with two options: continue on to heaven or reincarnate in every gamer's dream, a real fantasy world. Choosing to start a new life, Kazuma is quickly tasked with defeating a demon king who is terrorizing villages. But before he goes, he can choose one item of any kind to aid him in his quest. And the future hero selects the goddess Aqua, the one who gave him this new life. But he makes a grave mistake, not realizing that this goddess is completely useless. Unfortunately, their troubles don't end here. It turns out that living in such a world is far different from how it plays out in a game. Instead of going on a thrilling adventure, the duo must first work to pay off for their living expenses. Indeed, their misfortunes have only just begun. It is a fantastic comedy. It follows a harem. So it's one guy and 3 girls in a party, but he's attracted to all of them in some ways, but all of them are so flawed that he feels like he cannot be attracted to them. Unlike most harems, it's like they're very shy about it, or they get put in precarious predicaments. Instead, they gloss over the awkward humor, and they dive into just the hilariousness of each character owning their personality. The main character being this pervy guy who happens to choose this ability called steal, and in fact, he fails the ability and steals women's underpants. And so instead of being like super weird about it, he instead uses that to his advantage in certain situations.
Nice.
It is a hilarious show. And so far, anybody who I've gotten to watch it has thoroughly enjoyed it. And fortunately, they just finished their 2nd season, and I'm hoping they're going to go on to a 3rd.
So it looks like we found another anime fan we can talk to about Ghost in the Shell.
Indeed, indeed, you can.
Did you watch that anime?
Yes, I watched the original a very very long time ago, and then I watched the reworked versions, I guess, or not maybe reworked, but the later uh, episodes or seasons of the same universe and characters.
Nice.
Yeah,
Did you see the movie?
I have not.
Ah,
I have not yet seen it. I've been wanting to. I've actually had pretty good hopes for the movie.
I thought it was pretty good, but I hadn't seen the source material. So,
Well, based on the trailer that they had released originally, there were scenes from it that also were in the original series. Because the original series actually, if I remember correctly, wasn't really episode-like as much as it was movies. And so I think they split it up into episodes, but originally it was a movie. And so it appeared to me like they were following the original Ghost in the Shell story. And if that is the case, it could turn out to be really, really good.
nice. Good deal. Well, we're coming up on about an hour and a half now. We probably should get to wrapping it up. Is there anything you guys wanted to chat about that we didn't get to?
I'm good.
Nope, I'm good.
Alrighty. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us again this week for another episode of Brief Nerdity. Once again, we'd love to hear from any of you that are out there listening to our podcast. Feel free to give us an email, briefnerdity@gmail.com. Go to our website. Reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, all the normal stuff.
Social media.
Social media. Leave a comment and a rating on iTunes if you feel so inclined. So it would be great to get on the map there, so to speak. And once again, thanks for joining us. We will see you again next week. Say goodbye, everybody.
Later.
Goodbye, everybody.